Get ready for some surprising news about an incredible discovery. Researchers claim they have found the real Noah's Ark, a ship described in many religious texts, believed to have saved pairs of animals from a great flood. This discovery in Turkey has amazed people worldwide. Could this be the ancient ship we've heard about for centuries? What does it mean for archaeology and our understanding of history? Let's explore. The Bible describes Noah's Ark as a marvel of ancient engineering, built to survive a global flood. It was said to be 350 cubits long, 30 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. A cubit is an old measurement, roughly 18 inches or 1.5 feet, making the ark about 450 feet long, one of the largest wooden structures of its time. Archaeologists say this discovery allows us to imagine the ark today. Picture a 15-story building lying on its side, stretching across 1.5 football fields. However, critics argue that there isn't strong archaeological evidence to support these claims about the ark's discovery. Despite many expeditions to Mount Ararat and other places, there's still no solid scientific evidence of Noah's Arkansas. In religious texts, the ark is described as a huge wooden structure that survived a massive flood. This makes people skeptical because it seems unlikely such a vessel could last for thousands of years. Some say that similar stories exist in other cultures, suggesting the story is more mythical than real. For example, the Epic of Gilgamesh has a similar flood story, leading some to think these stories are symbolic. Geological studies show that big floods did happen in the past, but they haven't linked these directly to the Bible's flood story. The search for the ark is difficult because there are no definite remains, and the suggested sites, like Mount Ararat, are hard to explore. Doubts come not just from scientists, but also from theologians and historians. They caution against taking religious texts literally and suggest these stories might hold moral or symbolic truths instead of actual facts. So the search for Noah's Ark remains a controversial mix of faith, myth, and science, with criticism playing a big role in the debate. According to the Bible, the ark was a large structure made from gopher wood, carefully divided into many rooms spread over 3 decks. The ark needed to hold many different animals, from large ones to small insects. According to the Bible, animals were brought in pairs, one male and one female, to ensure their survival after the flood. This effort to protect wildlife is one of the first examples of an animal sanctuary in literature. The ark wasn't just for animals. Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, and their wives were also on board. These 8 people were responsible for taking care of thousands of animals and maintaining the Arkansas. They did many tasks that we don't fully understand, but it's clear they were crucial for everyone's survival on the ark. Preparing food and water was another important part of getting the ark ready. The Bible says God told Noah to store food for both people and animals. Deciding what kind of food to bring, how much, where to store it, and how to serve it must have been very challenging. The Bible doesn't specify what kind of food they ate or how they kept it fresh, but it was essential for everyone to have enough to eat. One of the most important features of the ark's design was its single door, likely located on the side. The ark had only one door, which was the only way in and out. This door was where all the animals, Noah's family, and the food entered. Once everyone was on board, the door was closed, keeping everyone inside safe from the flood. How bad were the floods? The Great Flood is one of the most dramatic parts of Noah's story. This wasn't just any rainstorm. It rained nonstop for 40 days and nights, flooding the land and even covering the tallest mountains. The scriptures describe a world completely underwater, like an ancient apocalypse. During this time, Noah's Ark was a shelter and refuge. The strong floods tossed the huge ship around, but inside Noah, his family, and all the animals lived on in a strange floating world. According to the Bible, the floodwaters covered the earth for 150 days, or about 5 months. The ark floated on this vast ocean until the water levels finally dropped. Eventually, the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat, which are now in Turkey. These mountains are a significant part of the ark's story, symbolizing hope and a new beginning. When the ark finally landed there, it marked the end of an incredible journey. After the storm, it took a long time for the land to dry out. Noah and his family had to wait for months until the ground was no longer wet. The Bible says that from the start of the flood until God told Noah to leave the ark took more than a year. This story has been passed down through generations as a symbol of faith, survival, and the power of life. For many years, archaeologists, historians, and religious experts have been trying to find real evidence of the ark, hidden in the snowy peaks and rough terrain of Mount Ararat. The search for Noah's Ark has fascinated people for centuries, leading to numerous theories and expeditions. One interesting part of this study is comparing Noah's story to other flood stories from different cultures, like the Epic of Gilgamesh. This ancient Mesopotamian text is one of the oldest writings we have and tells a flood story similar to Noah's. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, a figure named Utnapishtim is warned of a great flood that will destroy all life. Like Noah, Utnapishtim is told to build a boat to save himself, his family, and some animals. However, Utnapishtim's boat is described differently from Noah's Arkansas. It is depicted as a massive cube with 6 decks, each side measuring 120 cubits, unlike the ark described in the Bible. Both Utnapishtim and Noah sent out birds to check if the floods were starting to go away. This is a sad similarity between the two stories. Utnapishtim released a dove, a swallow, and a raven, while Noah first sent out a raven and then a dove. The birds came back with signs of land, giving hope that life could begin again. These stories give us some interesting clues about where these famous boats might have ended up. The Epic of Gilgamesh says that Utnapishtim's boat landed on a mountain called Nasir, which is thought to be in modern-day Iraq or Iran. In contrast, the Bible says Noah's Ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat in eastern Turkey. Mount Ararat has always attracted people because of its connection to the Ark story. Even though there's no solid proof yet, the thrill of possibly finding such a famous piece of history keeps people searching. The search for Noah's Ark blends faith, legend, and science, trying to connect ancient stories with current research. As we investigate further, the lines between legend and reality blur. Many theories exist about where the Ark might be, and Mount Nasir is one intriguing possibility. Most people have been focused on Mount Ararat. There have been many trips to this mountain, ranging from simple hikes to high-tech explorations with advanced equipment for scanning and mapping. Despite the enthusiasm and hard work of these searchers, there's still no solid proof that the Ark is on Mount Ararat. These expeditions face many challenges. The terrain is rough, the weather is unpredictable, and the region's political situation is unstable. Any wooden structures from the Ark would likely be damaged by the weather, snow, ice, landslides, and other natural events. The search has also been hampered by a lack. Another interesting piece of information comes from a 6th century artifact linked to King Abgar V of Odessa. Some thought the images on this artifact depicted Noah's Ark, suggesting a connection to ancient Mesopotamia beyond just the Ararat area. This made the story of the Ark even more fascinating. There are also stories that claim the Ark can be seen from the top of Mount Ararat at certain times of the year. These accounts and similar ones from other researchers have convinced many people that the Ark might really exist. Nestorian Christian preachers around 930 claimed they saw the Ark's remains on Mount Ararat, while Jacobite Christians in the 1300s had a monk who reported seeing it too. In the 1600s, Ottoman geographer Piri Reis created the first world map showing the Ark's location in the Ararat area, sparking more exploration. Though these stories are intriguing, there is still no solid proof to confirm them. The search for Noah's Ark took a big turn when a NATO worker named D. Rupener discovered a strange rock formation in Turkey that looked like a boat. This formation, located near Mount Ararat in the Daugavpiyasat area, was about 500 feet long and resembled the Ark described in the Bible. Aerial photos of this site sparked worldwide interest and raised questions about whether this could be the Ark's final resting place. In the early 1960s, after D. Rupener's discovery, a team from Ohio State University, led by Dr. Arthur Brandenberger, studied the site thoroughly using advanced imaging equipment. The structure's symmetrical shape and boat-like appearance intensified the debate, as it seemed to support the idea that it could be an ancient petrified structure. In the 1970s and 1980s, American explorer Ron Wyatt took a keen interest in the site. He conducted several trips, using tools like subsurface radar and metal detectors. Wyatt and his team found unusual items, including stones with holes that resembled ancient anchor stones used to stabilize ships. These findings, located near the formation, led some to believe this might be where the Ark finally came to rest. The stones found at the site look like old marine equipment, suggesting they might not be naturally formed. These stones, similar to ones used to stabilize ships in rough seas, led people to think of Noah's Ark from the Bible. The study at D. Rupener mixes modern technology with ancient stories, sparking new interest in finding the Arkansas. Historians, archaeologists, and theologians continue to visit the site, eager to solve this historical puzzle. But there's still a big question. If the Ark was real, wouldn't there be some physical evidence of the flood? In the 1990s, geologists William Lyon and Walter Pittman started a new investigation to connect the Ark story with an ancient massive flood. They focused on the Black Sea, a mysterious body of water. Using advanced underwater tools, they found evidence of a sudden shift from saltwater to freshwater in the sea's sediments. This suggested a huge flood had turned a saltwater lake into a sea. Lyon and Pittman carefully studied the geological evidence for signs of erosion and changes caused by the flood, and used radiocarbon dating to analyze shells, wood, bones, and other materials found in the sediments. The researchers took samples from the seafloor to see how the Black Sea's layers and composition changed over thousands of years. They then compared their findings with flood stories from various ancient cultures, like the Sumerians, Babylonians, Greeks, and Romans, all of which had similar flood tales. They believed that as the last ice age ended and ice melted, rising waters broke through a natural dam at the Bosphorus Strait. This caused a massive flood of freshwater from the Mediterranean to flow into the lake, making the Black Sea much larger and submerging land areas. This flood might have forced many ancient cities to relocate. Ryan and Pittman's research not only pointed to a huge flood, but also matched the timelines of flood stories from different ancient civilizations. Some people think this flood could be the source of the Noah's Ark story and other myths. Besides finding layers of sand, their underwater studies uncovered old buildings and tools, suggesting people lived in what is now under the Black Sea. This research has raised new questions and sparked interest in the area's connections to myths and legends. It links ancient stories with geological evidence, showing that submerged settlements in the Black Sea could have historical significance. Mount Ararat remains a key focus in the search for Noah's Ark. Other places have also been suggested as possible locations for Noah's Ark, including the Zagros Mountains and the Pamir Mountains. Each of these mountains has its own theories about where the Ark might have landed. The Zagros Mountains are in western Iran, eastern Iraq, and southern Turkey. They are different from Mount Ararat. Some scientists think that Mount Ararat, being a volcano, might not have existed until after the flood, which means the Ark might not have landed there. The Zagros Mountains are closer to Mesopotamia, where Noah's family is said to have settled after the flood, according to Genesis 10 and 11. Also, the peaks in the Zagros Mountains are higher than 15 cubits, about 22 feet, which fits the height of the floodwaters mentioned in Genesis 7 verse 20. This area is also easier to reach than Mount Ararat, which is covered in ice and rock. For centuries, people have linked the Zagros Mountains with Noah's Arkansas. Historical records and studies have pointed to possible landing spots in this range, like Mount Judi or Cordu in northern Iraq, Mount Pir Omar Gudrun in southern Iraq, and Mount Lubar in southwestern Iran. The Pamir Mountains in Central Asia, known as the roof of the world for their height, are also considered a possible site. Some biblical experts and explorers believe that Noah's Ark might have landed in the Pamir Mountains, as mentioned in Genesis 8 verse 4. The Pamir Mountains are located where several major mountain ranges meet, including the Tian Shan, Karakoram, Kunlun, Hindu Kush, and the Himalayas. This could have made them accessible by water during the flood. Many ancient cultures, like the Sumerians, Babylonians, Persians, Greeks, Mongols, and Turks, lived in this area, and each has its own version of the flood story, suggesting a common historical event. The Pamir Mountains are home to a wide variety of plants and animals, which could indicate that the Ark protected them or that animals from the Ark evolved here. Finding Noah's Ark in the Pamir Mountains is challenging. Most reports of discoveries or sightings are based on old stories or folklore. Despite this, some believe the Ark might be buried under ice, snow, or rocks in the Pamirs. There are still many unexplored areas that might hold clues. Scientists and experts continue to search using advanced tools, though many are skeptical. If you enjoy our content and want to support us, click the Super Thanks button below. Your support helps us share the journey of Jesus. If you liked this video, check out the next one now.